Prime Hydration coming to a Walmart near you.
Logan Paul is starting to get a little bit of karma.
Logan Paul and KSI has been sued for $68 million.
The U.S. Olympic and Paralympic Committee is suing Logan Paul.
My goodness!
I never lose.
Prime Hydration needs no introduction, masterminded by KSI and Logan Paul. Now, a couple of years ago, this stuff was like gold dust. You could not find it. And basically, every single supermarket, at least in the UK where I was from, it's probably the same everywhere else, you had little children begging their parents to queue up outside of supermarkets at 5 in the morning, like, oh, can I get the KSI drink? Can I get the KSI drink? And then it started this really weird trend where kids would like collect the bottles even though they were empty, and then, you know, put them on their shelf like it was some kind of trophy or something. I've even talked about in the past, you've had people that have like bought shipments of Prime. Like, for example, the Wakey Wines guy in the UK, he was infamous for like selling poor single mothers bottles of Prime for ridiculous markups.
She bought the famous bottle for £1,000. She just paid on her card. Thank you very much, love.
I'll be honest, though, I don't want to give too much hate to the Wakey Wines guy. I mean, he was basically convicted for drug dealing, and then he turned his life around by scamming kids completely legally. I checked in on the guy again recently to see what he's doing, and he seems to be doing this new, like, clip farming trend where he basically gets his wife to, like, shout at him and call him fat while he's eating, essentially to just clip farm.
So you just stay fat for a little bit longer? All right, fat boy. Boobies.
But now it seems that Prime is under attack and actually facing some massive lawsuits, which is pretty ironic because recently Logan Paul, one of the co-owners of Prime, basically handed out a huge defamation lawsuit to CoffeeZilla, a really respected YouTuber. I mean, maybe we give Logan some credit. He's been dealing with a lot this year. Obviously, handing out a lawsuit to CoffeeZilla that probably took, you know, a lot of mental energy. The George Janko situation, which I talked about a couple of videos ago. And then also accusations that he might have actually cheated on the Mr. Beast video. But now Prime is in more trouble, mostly due to the Summer Olympics of 2024 in Paris and one of Prime's own manufacturers. You know that scene of Iron Man where he's fighting off Captain America and the Winter Soldier at the same time? Those are the lawsuits, and this is Prime. Now, the big question is, are we surprised? No. I swear, every month, there's a new lawsuit that is wedged against Prime. Like, it is reaching the point now where I almost actually feel sorry for Logan Paul and KSI. The people that easily clear, like, you know, a couple milli every single month. Do not make me feel bad for those people. Please don't. Now, the reason originally why Prime got in so much trouble was its high caffeine content. It had an insane amount of caffeine. For comparison, a can of Monster, which is like around 500 mil, there's probably about 160 grams of caffeine in a single can. The Prime energy cans were a lot smaller, about the same as a Red Bull can, a small Red Bull can, and they were over 200 milligrams of caffeine. There was also investigations into the amount of forever chemicals inside Prime, PFAs, which is something I've talked about before. Basically, long story short, PFAs are really, really bad. They give you like the equivalent of super cancer, and they stay in your body forever, kind of like microplastics. But Logan basically denied that there's any PFA, saying that he uses the top bottle manufacturer in America. And that outburst led to South Park doing an entire episode basically mocking Prime, calling their own bottle cred.
I got cred, bitches. I got cred.
Now, one thing you'll notice as I go more and more into all the lawsuits against Prime right now, KSI basically has nothing to do with this. Bro just wants to cash that check every month and have nothing to do with it. It's basically only Logan and his team that are defending any accusations. You'll basically never see KSI defending Prime at any point. If anything, it's almost like he doesn't want to be associated with it anymore. He's just silently cashing in that check every month. So what is the big allegation against Prime? So I'm going to title this video, "The Prime Situation is Crazy." Well, it's basically with one of their manufacturers called Refresco. Refresco is a company that also works with other larger companies, like, for example, PepsiCo. And they hit Congo Brands, which is, by the way, the company that manufactures Prime in the first place. They hit Congo with a lawsuit, which was worth almost 68 million USD this month alone. Now, you're probably wondering why. Why would they do that? Why would a big company sue another company? I mean, obviously, apart from the infinite amounts of gains that you can make from it, usually because the taxpayer pays for stuff like this, apparently Congo Brands backed out of their agreement with Refresco to bottle Prime Energy. Before I go into a little bit more detail, I've said this in multiple videos in the past, but just to be clear, obviously, when you think of Prime, you think of Logan Paul, you think of KSI, right? But they only own 20% of the company each. So KSI owns 20%, Logan owns 20%. The other 60% is owned by Congo Brands. So they're the people that are going to be hit. Logan and KSI would love to make you think that they're co-owners, but in reality, they're just shareholders and they're the face of it. So basically, basically, they're accusing Congo brands of violating their agreement with Refresco, which included a 3-year production agreement, which apparently they only just started the trial process for. So as soon as they signed, they thought, nah, I'm good. I don't really want to be a part of this. And then they instantly got sued. And this agreement also included purchasing 90% of case produced and be responsible for all the customized equipment Refresco had to get to be able to produce bottles of Prime. And this is really big because Refresco actually can't reuse machinery for other beverages which they produce. Like, for example, a bottle of Pepsi isn't the same shape as a bottle of Prime. Prime has a really unique bottle shape, so they need different machines for that. The lawsuit even mentions that whatever cases Prime was not able to purchase, they would have to basically pay fees for any unsold case. And all of that adds up to apparently $67,710,000, all in damages to Refresco. And Refresco didn't stop there. They even actually called out how Prime energy sales have been in decline because, again, no one is buying this anymore. There was such hype around it when Logan and KSI started selling it originally, because if you don't remember, a couple of years ago, Logan and KSI, they went in the ring. They had little fisticuffs, little 1-2 punch. That ended up being a draw, and then they did a rematch, and that ended up with KSI winning. And then they were going to do, I remember it being advertised everywhere as like the final showdown, the conclusion, the end, implying they're going to do a third match. But then in reality, they were just, sucking each other off. And then they started promoting Prime, this energy drink, because they realized, I hate you and you hate me. You know what brings everyone together? Money. And because of that hype, every single person on earth was buying Prime. And I'll be honest, like, KSI doesn't seem to care anymore. Logan is really trying to shield Prime. Basically, any appearance he makes, whether it's public or it's in a YouTube video, he's always holding a bottle of Prime. I remember seeing this one video in the latest MrBeast video where there's like, 100 YouTubers, and you can see Logan Paul pressed up against the glass with all the other YouTubers, and he makes sure to have the bottle of Prime in his hand. It's so cringe. Like, no one is buying it anymore, bro. You know that meme of the guy with the Gucci bag and it's being like held by a single thread? Just let it go, bro. Just let it go. A little side note, I do like how MrBeast videos are now just glorified product placement, and there's like really weird competition. It's like every YouTuber that appears has their own product to shill, and they obviously agree how much screen time it gets before the video starts. Like, you've got obviously MrBeast chilling his Feastables because there's much more quality control than, MrBeast burgers. But then you'll have like Logan Paul shilling his Prime. And then the most recent video where it was those two people surviving in the bunker, you had Ryan Trahan and he was like shilling his little gummy sweets as well on there. And I know it's easy for me, the bitter YouTuber, to say Prime fell off, man. But actually, there have been studies. For example, from Fortune UK, they actually pointed out through a study that Prime sales dropped 50% year after year from its initial release. So obviously, after all the little kids collected their flavors, they put it on their shelf in their bedroom and started flexing it on Snapchat because they're literally 12 years old. Brave statement incoming, but I never bought a single bottle of Prime myself. I've never tried it in my life, so I can't say it tastes like shit because I've never actually tried any. I think the main reason I didn't buy it is because I'm actually that spiteful and petty that I did not want to make two very, very rich people even more rich. But one time my sister did buy me a can of Prime Energy. You know, the cans that are energy drinks? I think it was like an orange colored one. I tried it and I was like, yeah, it's a drink. I wouldn't buy it, especially because KSI and Logan Paul are peddling it. Now, the fact that even the manufacturer had to pull out a lawsuit is even more of a red flag to how Prime operates. Because again, keep in mind, we really haven't had a drinks company blow up this fast in the past probably 50 years or so, because every drink company is already owned by a giant. Like, pretty much anything you drink now is either owned by PepsiCo or Coca-Cola. Little side note here, I do love like how drinks in the UK are an actual scam. Like, no wonder everyone in the UK is just so unhealthy and tired, and they feel weak all the time, because every time I go into like, a petrol station or a corner shop, I want to get myself a drink, a nice little bottle of sparkling water to tickle my throat. All there is like Pepsi, Dr. Pepper, Coke Zero, like 7 flavors of Monster Energy, and then probably Just Water. And Just Water is a still water brand. They do have sparkling, but it's harder to come by. A still water brand owned by Coca-Cola. So I'm not even joking here. You know how like you go to like Disneyland and stuff, and Coke owns like everything, like Dasani water and all that stuff. Like, you cannot get anything that isn't owned by Coke. It's the same in the UK. It's like every time I touch down from like Heathrow after traveling, like at the airport in London, every vending machine is just full of Coke and like Just Water. It's like, oh my god. This is a really long-winded story to say that Sweden is a better country because there you can get Ramlösa and Loka and that's very, very good sparkling water. But recently, Prime sponsored famous basketball player and 3-time gold medal winner Kevin Durant. There was even this promotional picture posted as well. Also, you might have noticed that IShowSpeed is involved in Prime at pretty much every single angle. He's been signed on to Prime. It's most likely that he's probably some kind of shareholder now.
I got a little surprise for you. 3, 2, 1.
Now, if you're unaware, Kevin Durant basically represents the US men's basketball team in the Summer Olympics and is known for being on certain NBA teams like the Golden State Warriors and the Brooklyn Nets. By the time of recording, he's playing for the Phoenix Suns. Did you notice how slow I said all of that, by the way, so I don't mispronounce anything? Apparently, last video, I mispronounced Tyler One's wife's name. And then before that, we had Triple Red instead of Tipple Red. And then we had Metro's Booming Track and Good Kid and Mad City. It's a list. It's a list. I'm trying to not expand it any further. Also, you know Kamala Harris, the runner-up to be the new president for the Democrats? I basically called her Carmela Harris the entire time. Now, a lot of people compare Kevin to people like, you know, LeBron James, Stephen Curry, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan. So, like a lot of athletes, this is a big guy, very popular, and to sponsor him and have him attached is great. I mean, it's the same reason that they signed on, you know, IShowSpeed, because the average IShowSpeed viewer is a 5-year-old shaking their iPad. That's exactly what they want, because Prime sales are dying right now. They need to get that new wave of summer kids to eventually hit 13 so they can instantly get them hooked onto Prime. It's the only way to keep their business model alive. But then by having people like Kevin Durant sign up, that gets the kind of older people, the people in their 30s. I'm 27 and I said being in your 30s is old. Oh, God damn it. So shortly before the games began, the US Olympic and Paralympic Committee sued Prime Energy. What for? Apparently for infringing on Olympic trademarks and branding, since Kevin is currently playing in the Olympics. So Prime tried to promote Kevin by basically using one of their flavors and heavily influencing it by, you know, the British Olympic achievements. So basically they're trying to sue Prime for using similar like wording to the Olympics and images to the Olympics, you know, like the funny gold rings and stuff. And their lawsuit even claims that Prime will still want to sell this Olympic-themed beverage after sending Prime Energy a cease and desist letter. So basically, they sent a letter out saying, you know, don't do this. This is quite bad. You are stealing from us. And then, you know, they turned around and went, oh yeah, that sucks. Anyways, and then they just did it. Now, Prime was very quick to kind of wipe any association with the Olympics on their website, but Kevin's sponsorship is still going ahead. So there's some images here that I'm going to show on screen that they're likely referring to being too similar to the Olympics. And you can actually still buy the Olympic-themed drinks online, just not through Prime directly. You can buy it through, you know, their providers like GNC Food and Drink, the Vitamin Shop, which is what they're basically partners with Prime. So it's weird that they knew what they did is bad. They've scrubbed it from their website, but you can still buy it through all their partners. Basically, what I'm saying is to like the 3 kids watching this channel that still actively collect Prime, buy this right now. Get it shipped to your house because this is basically like the dodo. This is an extinct drink. It's also important to note the UPOPC, which stands for the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee. They do partner with brands a lot, often to, you know, get a huge influx of revenue. And I think the main reason they went after Prime is because there was no agreement set. They basically just thought, oh, let's get Kevin. Sure, let's pay him a bag. Should we tell the committee? Nah. I mean, a good example is how they use like Coca-Cola to basically use the Olympic trademark and branding because, again, like they have signed an agreement. They share that revenue. Also, I enjoy Coke Zero as much as the next fat person, but like I just remember this one scene of Cristiano Ronaldo purposely moving a bottle of Coca-Cola out the way, which is just so based because like they basically pay to appear there for branding and he still just didn't care.
Coca-Cola.
I think one of the reasons I find that clip so based is mostly because of the fact that, like, that reminds me of Logan Paul's Prime. But in reality, anyone else sat there would just move the bottle out the way. And funnily enough, while trying to find more social graphics, Prime has actually moved on to a re-released flavor called Glowberry. And like it says here, Prime, the hunt for hydration. You could also just drink water. You could just drink water. I'll be honest, like, if myself, ever went into, like, making drinks and stuff for people, I would actually make a brand of sparkling water. I really would. It would not bring in anywhere near the amount of revenue that these guys make, mostly because these guys are infinitely more, you know, famous than me. But it's just the fact that, you know, sweet shit attracts kids. But sparkling water is just, it's so good for you. It really is. I drink sparkling water all the time. This is still water. This is like San Pellegrino's still version. I just poured it into a soda stream and made it carbonated. Now, the reason I bring up the Glowberry flavor is it's pretty convenient timing that, again, once they're under the spotlight for a ton of controversy, they release a new flavor. This could be 1, to shift the focus away, or 2, to ride the wave, because Logan Paul especially is someone who knows that any press is good press, even if it's negative press. Now, I'm sure they'll come out on top of this, but again, to be hit by multiple lawsuits from, you know, pretty much every side, it's not a good look for the company, and they might start like hemorrhaging stock. And also on top of that, like I said earlier, sales are on the decline. They really don't want you to know that. Obviously, Logan is like shilling it. Like, I'm pretty sure when Logan gets buried, he's gonna have like a Prime bottle glued to his hand. Because every public appearance that guy makes, he always has a bottle. KSI just doesn't really seem to care about Prime that much. He'll appear to the photo shoots. They did that golden bottle of Prime in London. You know, I'm sure they'll always do a big stint or a big publicity thing if the sales are getting really bad. But the sales are nowhere near as what they were originally. And I'm not saying that Prime fell off. It kind of did. But in KSI and Logan's defense, you could not keep a brand that popular forever. It's impossible. You know how like years and years ago, we had like huge YouTubers like Rice Gum that somehow got like, you know, 10 million subs in a year, or YouTubers in the Minecraft scene, like for example Tommy Innit, who I think is like on well over 10 million subs. They're people that don't get the amount of pull that they used to, and that's fine. It's normal. It's a normal process. You cannot keep that amount of relevancy and that hype for such a long period of time. There's always elements around it, like for example with Tommy Innit and the Minecraft YouTubers. No hate towards them, by the way. Like, they were getting that bag during lockdown, like mad respect. But the main reason they blew up is because there was a lot of kids inside during lockdown that couldn't go outside, and they gravitated towards this Minecraft scene. That's why it was so huge, because it was basically the best time for a YouTuber to be a YouTuber, because they're entertaining people that can't do anything else. And, you know, Prime Hydration with KSI and Logan, the main reason why that did so well is because they didn't just start a random brand. They baited millions of people thinking there was going to be a rematch to their boxing event, which was the biggest thing on YouTube at the time, only to find out it was just a hydration drink. So yeah, I mean, you always need some kind of like drama or controversy or some other background element to blow up like they do. And even then, you can't sustain it. The biggest streamer I'd say right now in the entire planet, well, in the English speaking world, is probably iShowSpeed. And within 5 years, iShowSpeed is not going to be as big as he is now. He just isn't. Like, there will be someone else that comes out, someone that's like, you know, younger, 17, 18, and they will have the energy that iShowSpeed has now. It's normal for this to happen. It is a cycle that always repeats itself. I don't think Prime is really going to die. I just think it's going to reach like a baseline, like a point where it can't really go any lower. And that'll be where it'll be like, okay, you know, KSI and Logan will have a meeting and it's like, okay, bro, we're not clearing 10 mil a month anymore, but you know, we're still making a couple mil. Like, you know, it's probably something worth to keep on the back burner. But yeah, it'll definitely be interesting to see the outcome of these lawsuits. But I'll be honest, the way the internet works, if they have a case and they can beat the lawsuit, Logan will be rent-free on TikTok and every social media talking about it. And if Logan doesn't say a thing about it, that means it's really bad.